That evening the Marquis, unaware that anything was wrong, sat down as usual to supper. Annoyed to find that it was late, he rang the bell angrily. With a heavy heart, Sido opened the door to the dining chamber.
"It is quite intolerable to be kept waiting at my own table," he snapped.
"Papa, all but 2 of your servants left this morning."
"Did I give you permission to speak?"
asked the Marquis. "No, Papa, but I think it might be wise to make plans, just—"
"You think?" he interrupted sarcastically. "You think? And of what significance are your miserable thoughts? You're just about bearable when silent. When you speak, I find your presence quite insupportable."
Sido could take it no longer. Tears welled up, and the colour rushed to her face.
"What have I done that you should hate me so much?"
she cried. The Marquis looked up at an invisible point just above her head.
"Been born, and once born, been a mere girl."
"Is that my only crime?"
"How dare you ask such impertinent questions? Leave the room."
He got up and walked towards the door.
"Tell my valet that I shall be dining in my apartment."
Sido went back down to the kitchen to find Jean still sitting at the table.
"I take it he didn't like what he was told."
"He wouldn't listen. He loathes me. He said it would have been better if I'd never been born."
"If it's of any comfort, mademoiselle, I don't think the Marquis cares for anyone or anything, apart from his possessions."
"But what can I do?" said Sido.
"Nothing. No matter how much you try to please him, he'll never love you. It'd be best just to accept this, and let acceptance make you stronger. I'm sorry to speak out of turn, mademoiselle, but that's how I see it. Is there no other family you can turn to?"
"Well, there's my mother's sister in London."
"Well then," said Jean, "what's the sad face for? At least you know that someone will be pleased to see you."
"Well, yes, but how would I ever get to England?"
"Goodness knows. But if it is of any comfort, Bernard and I have worked out an escape route from the chateau, in case the mob should come. Shall I show you?"
He took a lantern from the dresser and guided her out of the kitchen and down the steps that led to the wine cellar, pushed back a small wooden door, and lifted the lantern high to show her a long tunnel.
"Where does that go?" asked Sido with surprise. "To the stables. It was built so that your father would not have to see any tradesmen unloading wagons. You never know. His vanity may yet save us."
Sido smiled.
"That's better," he said. "Bernard is going to keep a carriage ready night and day. Does that make you feel a little less fearful?"
A week later, what Sido had been dreading finally happened. At 2 o'clock in the morning, a sudden, terrible sound broke the stillness of the night. She looked into the garden and saw a small army of people advancing on the chateau, carrying torches and singing loudly, emboldened by wine. Quickly she dressed and ran to the Marquis's bedchamber, just as Jean burst through the door. The Marquis was standing by the window in his robe, looking in disbelief at the crowd down below.
"Who let them in?"
"No one did, Papa. They stormed the wall."
"Impossible."
At that moment the window broke. A burning torch landed on the floor and rolled towards the four-poster bed, setting the drapery alight. Downstairs they could hear the sound of breaking glass and hammering on the front door.
"We must leave," said Jean. "They'll be in the house at any moment." "Not without my buckles," said the Marquis. "I won't leave without them."
He pushed open the door to the antechamber. The room was ablaze, and he staggered back from the billowing smoke.
"Hurry!"
shouted Jean as the Marquis desperately tried to get to his beloved buckles.
"If you don't come now, we're leaving you."
The front door gave way, and a sound like a wave came crashing into the hall. In desperation, the Marquis grabbed a red-hot buckle and let out a piercing scream as it branded his hand. Like a wounded child, he allowed Jean to lead him down the secret passages, while all around them they could hear the sounds of furniture being broken, ornaments destroyed, and the roar of the fire about to engulf the chateau. They rushed down to the cellar, closing the door behind them and stacking baskets of bottles against it in the hope of delaying the mob. Jean went ahead as they groped their way along the dark corridor that led to the stables. Bernard was waiting, trying to calm the two terrified horses that he had harnessed to a carriage. The other horses he had let run wild. The Marquis, on seeing that it was not his finest carriage, demanded that his gilded coach be used instead.
"Get in!"
shouted Bernard, losing his patience. "Surely you don't expect me to travel in a carriage intended for the use of servants?"
"Please, Papa,"
implored Sido, who was already inside. She saw the chateau lit red against the sky as the mob began to move toward the stables. With great presence of mind, Bernard and Jean pushed the Marquis into the carriage and set off at great speed. There was no choice as to direction. An angry crowd of peasants was waiting, blocking the road leading to Versailles and Normandy. The Marquis, stunned, sat looking back at his beloved chateau, now consumed by flames.